So here we are. It's 2018 already. Amazing. It feels like I was just celebrating Christmas. I mean, I was just celebrating Christmas, but it's over. It's now time to buckle up, get ready for a long few months of cold winter weather, and look forward to a brand new year. But it's also time to kind of take a moment to reflect on all of the important things from the year past. The toys. So this list right here are the 10 toys that were released in 2017 that I liked the most. So without further ado, I present to you guys Pixel Dan's favorite toys from 2017. Number 10, Disney Afternoons action figures from FUNKO. This is one of those times I'm gonna lump more than one figure into a slot, but in this case I really feel like these all deserve the praise together as a set. FUNKO surprised everyone this year with the announcement that they were releasing a series of action figures based on the Disney Afternoons cartoons. I was excited by the announcement, and I really felt the figures delivered. The quality is fantastic, with a great solid feel, great cartoon accurate sculpts, and nice paint. The character selection is fun, with what can be considered the main characters from shows like DuckTales, Rescue Rangers, Tailspin, and Darkwing Duck all present. My hope is that this isn't the only set of Disney Afternoons figures that FUNKO plans to release, because this line has serious potential. There are so many characters that deserve to get action figures. So come on, FUNKO, don't do what Playmates toys did to me in the 90s. Give me Gizmo Duck. Number 9, Masters of the Universe Classics Ultimate Skeletor by Super 7. 2017 marks the year that the Masters of the Universe Classics line made its shift from Mattel over to the much smaller toy company known as Super 7. Fans were excited to see that the line would continue, but were also nervous about a more niche company like Super 7 taking on such a huge task, and rightfully so. No one really knew what to expect. Super 7's first official release in the Classics line were their series of Ultimates, reissues of some of the more popular figures with brand new packaging and even some new accessories. And while there were some missteps, such as some loose articulation points on some figures, I feel like overall, the figures were a pretty great addition to the series. Skeletor here was easily my favorite of that batch. I love that retro-inspired packaging, which is quite the breath of fresh air after nearly a decade of that same green brick design that Mattel gave us. And the inclusion of so many accessories and alternate heads, allowing for multiple ways to display Skeletor, really did make this version feel like the ultimate release. Ultimately, these figures were sold by pre-order only and are now commanding high prices on the aftermarket. Hopefully, some of the main characters will get another release down the road. Number 8. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles USAGI YOJIMBO by Playmates Toys. 2017 is the final year of the modern Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles animated series that began back in 2012, which means this was also the final year of action figures based on it. While we didn't get a ton of original characters released as action figures this year, the few that we did get ended up being some of the best in the line. USAGI YOJIMBO here is easily one of the best in the entire toy line in my opinion. For a line that is often criticized for its lack of paint and accessories, USAGI here clearly got a lot of extra love than most of the non-Turtles releases since 2012. He's a wonderful representation of a classic character, and Playmates went all in on him in 2017, giving him multiple figures throughout the year, any of which could make for a good version of this character to add to your collection. Number 7. The Ghostbusters Firehouse playset by Playmobil. Playmobil released its first non-sports licensed property in 2017, being Ghostbusters. When it was first announced, I was surprised and slightly curious why they opted to release new toys based off the original Ghostbusters films. But once the product was revealed and I got to see it in person way back at New York Toy Fair, I knew instantly that these would be must-have toys for my collection. The Firehouse playset is just incredible. It's the best looking Ghostbusters Firehouse ever created as a toy, and it includes so many amazingly fun little accessories. If only it were scaled a little larger, you could even use it as a stand-in for your old Kenner action figures. But regardless, it's a wonderfully fun playset that should be in the collection of every Ghostbusters fan. Number 6, Mortal Kombat Scorpion by Storm Collectibles. I am a sucker for a great video game action figure, especially when it's based on the games that I grew up playing. Storm Collectibles caught my attention the moment that they announced they were doing a highly detailed line of collectible Mortal Kombat action figures, all based on the look and feel of Mortal Kombat 1 and 2. Scorpion was the first figure released in the line, and he absolutely blew me away. The sculpt and paint are fantastic, the articulation is incredibly functional, allowing for fun poses, and the interchangeable parts allowing you to recreate a fatality are a stroke of genius. So far, we've mostly gotten a rainbow of ninjas released after Scorpion with Sub-Zero, Noob Saibot, Reptile, etc., but we finally have Shao Kahn on the way. Here's hoping for more characters to join the roster. Oh, and where's Goro? We really need that Goro. Number 5, Mantis Alien by NECA Toys. At this point, it's no secret that I'm a huge fan of the wacky colored Predator and Alien action figures that Kenner produced way back in the 1990s. NECA Toys updated many of the Kenner Predator figures, and they have been some of my favorite releases from the company. So when they announced that they were doing the same thing with the Aliens franchise, I was stoked. The first series of Kenner Aliens were released in early 2017. In fact, some folks may have gotten them at the tail end of 2016, but I got mine in 2017, so I'm counting it for this list. The Mantis Alien here was one of the ones I was most excited for, because the translucent green Kenner figure from the 90s was my absolute favorite from that bunch. And this new version from NECA did not disappoint me. From the amazingly detailed sculpt all the way down to that translucent green plastic that the original one was known for, this is hands down my personal favorite NECA alien figure. And that's saying something, because I adore all of their aliens. Number 4, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles MUCKMAN by Playmates Toys. MUCKMAN was my most anticipated figure in the current TMNT toy line. He was one of my favorite figures from the vintage line, and I loved his appearance in the new cartoon. And he's one of those figures that took a really long time to finally get released. But finally, in the spring of 2017, he hit store shelves, albeit very briefly. The figure itself is a really great toy. He still lacks a lot of painted detail, sure, just like many of the figures in this line, but the sculpt is fantastic. Just like the vintage counterpart, the folks who sculpted this figure added in a ton of fun details, which makes him so much fun to just study and see what all you can find. The downside is that he got a very limited release. There's no official word on why he wasn't on store shelves for very long. Some have speculated that he was considered too gross or too scary, and he was ultimately pulled from shelves. I have no idea if there's any truth to that, but I do know that there are a lot of folks still after this figure, and he is commanding absurd prices on the aftermarket. This figure may go down as one of the more valuable or sought after figures from this entire line. Time will tell. Number 3, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles quarter scale figures by NECA Toys. Alright, so I already included Donatello on last year's best of list, but the other 3 turtles were released in 2017, and you know what? They are easily some of the very best figures to come out all year long, especially for TMNT fans. Never has there been a better set of action figures based on the original TMNT motion picture. NECA captured every detail of the Jim Henson costumes perfectly. Yes, they are massive, standing around 18 inches tall, but that makes these some incredible showpieces for your collection. And the quality of the figures and the functionality of the articulation, especially at this scale, is mind-blowing. If you are a Turtles fan, you should probably go buy at least one of these as soon as you're done watching this video. Actually, scratch that. Buy all 4 of them. You won't regret it. Number 2, San Diego Comic-Con exclusive Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle figures by NECA Toys. NECA has seriously been killing it when it comes to TMNT, making some of the absolute best in collectible action figures for longtime fans of the franchise. Last year they gave us the amazing video game set and finished off the comic book Turtles. This year, for the 30th anniversary, we got action figures based on the original cartoon series. The 4 turtles in this set are amazing, but also included are the first ever action figures of the Foot Soldiers, Krang, and Shredder as they appeared in that cartoon series. And seriously, it's like the best Shredder figure ever made. To top it all off, the figures came in a very fun vinyl case that drew inspiration from the vintage action figure carry cases. I'm pretty sure this might be my personal all-time favorite TMNT action figure sets. And I know I've made that claim before, but you know what? It's always been a NECA product that I've made that claim for. Alright, so before we get on to my number 1, I want to do a few honorable mentions. Honorable mention number 1 goes to Grossery Gang Putrid Power figures by Moose Toys. Look, I know that these aren't for everyone, but if you grew up loving weird stuff like Mad Balls and Food Fighters like I did, then these figures really scratch an itch that not many modern toy lines can. I seriously feel like these are the best original IP toy line that you will find on store shelves today. They just scream 1980s fun. Honorable mention number 2 goes to the WWE Retro figures by Mattel. I'm a longtime pro wrestling fan, but as much as I enjoy it, I've never been a big collector of the action figures. Mattel's new line of retro figures inspired by the original Hasbro ones that I grew up with easily changed that for me. I love these. They are goofy as heck, but in the best possible way, and I'm excited to get more of these into my collection in 2018. And the number 1 figure of 2017 is...
Spider Blue, Spider Blue. He's so blue, 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 blue. Why is he blue? We don't know, but he's blue and it's cool. Look out! Here comes the Spider Blue. Here comes the Spider Blue. Here comes the Spider Blue.
All right. I'm just playing. Come on, I had to do that. The number 1 figure of 2017 is Bucky O'Hare by Boss Fight Studio. Maybe it's because this is so fresh and new. You might be saying that to yourself right now. This figure just came out about a month ago. But let me tell you, as a longtime fan of Bucky O'Hare and a big fan of the short-lived original toy line from Hasbro, Boss Fight Studio has really created something incredibly special here. If you would have told me that Bucky O'Hare could have any sort of a comeback this day and age, I'd expect there to be some sort of new cartoon attempt with an updated aesthetic that only kind of reminds me of the original incarnation. But nope. Boss Fight went straight to the source material, giving us amazing modern-day action figures with gorgeous sculpts that look exactly like the characters we knew and love. Throw in a solid build with great articulation, accessories, and collector-friendly packaging, and you have the best possible outcome for the resurgence of a classic franchise. Boss Fight blew me away with these new figures, and I am highly anticipating their next releases and eventually building out an entire collection of heroes and toads that they can croak. So that's it. That's my list. Those are my favorite toys of the last year. Were there surprises there? Do any of those toys match your lists? Are your lists completely different than mine? Well, now's your chance to sound off. Leave me a comment down below and let me know if your list is different than mine. Tell me what your favorite toys are of the year. Let me know if you agree with any of my choices. Either way, let's look forward to a brand new year of awesome stuff and cool new toys. Until next time, my friends.
Hey guys, I'm Pixel Dan. I'm Dan. Pixel Dan. Hey guys. Blue spike. This is so weird. Blue spike.